Our guest today is New Zealand comedian Jamaine Ross. You might know him from the Fred Award-nominated group Frickin' Dangerous Bros, or you might have seen him in Only in Aotearoa or 7 Days. He was an absolute delight to speak to. He's not a smoker himself, but had lots to say about growing up around lots of whānau who smoke. At the end of the episode, don't forget to fill out the survey for a chance to win a pair of Bose AirPods. Just click the link below. Hi Jamaine, how you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Good, thank you. Thanks so much for coming on our podcast.
No, thanks for having me.
No worries.
How are you,
cool.
Dave?
Yeah, I'm well, thank you. It's good to see you, bro.
Yeah, I haven't seen you in a while.
Yeah, I think we bumped each other into the Classic last year, a couple of years ago, maybe.
Yeah. And I said, you inspired me doing comedy. And then I told you a story about how you inspired me. And you said, that wasn't me.
Who was it?
I was just trying
I don't know. Some other American.
Yeah, I was just trying to be humble, bro.
Was it actually not you?
It could have been. I don't know. I have a horrible memory, but I have all these stories where I've inspired people who have gone on to be incredibly more successful than me, including Guy Williams and Rose Matafeo. But I'm here. I live in Wanganui, so I'm doing well.
That's so funny.
We're not here to talk about my failing comedy career. We're here actually to talk about smoking, and particularly around issues of people who quitted smoking. Now we understand that you've never quit because you never really started smoking. Is that correct?
Yeah, I've never smoked tobacco.
Okay, right, tobacco. Let's make these clear what we're talking about. Now, did you grow up around it? Do you know people around you?
Yeah. My parents smoked for a long, long time, and whānau around me all smoked. I had friends who smoked as well. So it was around me everywhere. Yeah.
So, like, your parents, when you were born, like, were they smoking?
Like when you were born, like literally.
Yeah, they're like, my mum's like, I don't know. I don't know if a lot of people have memories of being a baby, but I do remember I remember I think it was my mum saying something. It was like, I think because we'd been like, you get taught at school smoking is bad, and on TV smoking is bad. And then I think I said to my mum, I was like, you shouldn't you smoke outside because we're like kids? And then I think she said, well, it's our house, so you can go outside. But definitely much more over the years. Well, there was a time when they did always smoked outside. There was no smoking in the house, and then now I don't think they smoke at all.
Oh, they've quit now?
Yeah.
Yeah. So growing up around it, you never felt like smoking yourself, or ever tried it?
No, I never tried it. I was pretty nerdy growing up, and I think not smoking was me rebelling.
Right.
Everyone else smoked. I had friends who smoked, and my family smoked, and I was like, nah, man, screw the system of my
Stick to the man.
Yeah. So I think that's why I didn't. And I know I've said I've never smoked tobacco, which infers that I have smoked weed. But that as well, I didn't smoke weed until my 20s. Right. So, and I think that was, and people around me were, and I was just like, I'm just not going to do it. Nah, man, I'm not going to acquiesce to the system or whatever. Yeah.
Did any of your siblings smoke?
No. Oh my God, I didn't even realize. Neither of my older brother or my younger brother smoked. That's wild.
Yeah, that is wild.
Oh, man, and they weren't nerds like me. Oh.
What were their reason? Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I don't know. Probably just couldn't afford it.
Yeah.
I don't know. Now, my older brother might have, but he hasn't become he's not a smoker.
Well, going back to so you said your parents, were smokers. They've quit now. Have they talked about the reasonings? Did they just kind of taper off, or yeah?
Money.
Yeah,
it was just so expensive, and so they were like, "This is a waste of money," and so they just they actually quit multiple times over my life. Like they'd quit and then take it up again, and quit and then take it up again, or they'd both quit and then one would take it up and then they'd quit. So it was like they have been dealing with it for, a long time, because it is an addiction, and so I guess you fall back into the addiction. They'd just be like, "Oh, we're quitting." And I'm like, "Okay, well, good luck with that." Like it's not, I think you'll fail, but I'm like, okay. You're grown adults and you can make your own decisions.
Yeah.
And obviously smoking brings great risk to your health, and I don't wish illness on you, obviously, but I was just like, well, you can make those decisions, and I guess someday I'll have to deal with it.
Yeah, exactly.
I think it's probably similar to like stand-up comedy. I know a bunch of people are like, "I'm quitting comedy." You're like, "Okay, yeah, great," and then like 2 months later, they're at an open mic, and
yeah,
okay.
That's why I actually did a soft quit of comedy,
right?
Because of stand-up, because I knew, I was like, I'll probably get back into it, so I'm not going to make a big deal out of it. I'm just going to stop doing gigs.
Yeah.
And then, sure enough, I came back.
Yeah, you're back. You're addicted. You're hooked. And it's probably not good for your health either. But
no, it is good for my mental health. But anyway, that's not what it's about.
And so you had friends who have been smokers?
Yeah.
And they've never tried to lure you into the dark side?
No. My friends always just accepted that I didn't smoke. And I think if anyone ever... So I had friends when I was... Like I mentioned, I didn't smoke weed when I was a teenager, but friends were like, "Oh, you have to get stoned. Like, we have to get you high." And I was just like, "No, because you're trying to force me to do it. Like, I don't want to do it."
Yeah.
And so it would have been the same with cigarettes, with smoking tobacco, but I don't... Yeah, there was no one really pressured me into, "You should do it." Like, "Oh, you'll be cool, man." Like, as someone who's never smoked, around people who smoke, you're like, if they're going outside for a cigarette, I won't go, because, you're like, it's kind of smells yuck, like whatever. But because I'd grown up around family smoking, I would just go.
Right. Yeah,
like,
right.
I'd just go hang out with them anyway, because I was used to it, the smell and it just being around. Like, so I would just go and like hang out with them regardless. So I didn't feel like I needed that excuse of smoking to socially hang out with people.
Yeah. Because that's what a lot of other people have been talking about is that, when it's a social thing, everyone else goes outside, and so it's okay.
Because I was going to say that. Like, what did you do when everyone would go outside?
Well, I went outside.
And you just stand there and just.
Yeah. Now though, I'm not around people who smoke anymore now, and the smell is so full on now.
Yeah,
like it's so intense. But back then, I was just so used to it. It was just like whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I would talk to others about like when I started comedy, it was smoking in bars was still legal. This was like 2003, and it was I never smoked, but I would go out and I would just come back smelling of it. Yeah, and it was kind of shocking to me. But if you'd grown up around it,
it just kind of wasn't a concern to like have to smoke to fit in, because I was like, it doesn't matter, like. But my first girlfriend smoked as well. Not all the time, like, but she smoked fairly, like a couple times a week. I mean, when we'd pash, I could taste the smoke. Is what I'm saying. It's always just kind of been there, and I was just used to the smell of it, and just being around people who smoke without being a smoker. So,
is there a famous person, dead or alive, that if they asked you to have a cigarette with them, you would have a cigarette with them?
I honestly think, I'm 41 years old. I I don't really give a fuck about what people think of me. I think I would just say, no, I won't smoke, but I'll come.
Yeah.
I honestly think I would do that.
Yeah.
But let's say I wouldn't do that. I wanted to impress this person by smoking. It'd probably be a woman.
Which one?
There's a professional wrestler I like.
Amazing.
Her name is Liv Morgan. It'd probably be her. Like I'd be like, whatever you want to do, I want you to think I'm cool. Like,
what?
You want to go stab someone? Yeah, I'll go stab someone with you. Like, whatever you want to do.
Whatever you want to do, and then we'll have a cigarette afterwards.
Yeah. And you'll think I'm cool, and we'll be friends now.
Does she smoke?
I don't think so. She's a professional athlete.
Wow.
Athlete slash
entertainer.
Entertainer.
Entertainer. Let's say entertainer.
Yeah. So going back to maybe some of those other friends who smoked, is there anyone who you know who has quit and had some really good strategies that you think they implemented?
Honestly, I don't know. Like, I just and maybe this is not right for the podcast, I was like, I don't care. Like I didn't take the information on. Like, I wasn't like, how's your journey going? Maybe I'm a selfish friend. Probably. I was just like, well, good luck, you know? But I had a couple of friends, and when I lived in Wellington, I had a couple of friends who I would hang out with all the time. And they decided to give up smoking. And one of them was reading this book about, and the book, it was about quitting smoking. And the book was like, smoke while you read this book. That was, I don't know, they were like, at the end of the book, then you'll quit smoking or whatever. Anyway, but I remember him asking me, he was like, what do you do instead of smoking? Like, he's like, what do you do with your time when you're not smoking? And that felt like a bizarre concept to me. I was like, I don't know, carry on with what I'm doing. Yeah. I just don't interrupt what I'm doing to smoke. But that makes me go, oh yeah, there's like maybe there's something to smoking, because it forces you to take a break from what you're doing.
Right. Yeah, so does going to the toilet.
But if you can hold your bladder, what are you going to do?
Your strategy is just be a raging workaholic who.
Yeah. I just carry on with what I'm doing. But and I guess so. Based on that, like, I was like, well, maybe an answer for him was to replace those breaks with something different. Yeah. You know, and obviously it's physically addictive, so you can't just, like, you know, you do have to find something that is going to, you know, like whatever it is, gambling, let's say, you know, like.
A lot of people have replaced it with vaping. So what's your opinion on vaping?
Well, it's obviously a good tool for people to get off smoking tobacco because it's less harmful. And as someone who's a non-smoker, smells better.
Yeah.
Love it. I'll be around vapors. But obviously it's not good. You know, like I think the goal is definitely people who don't smoke don't start vaping.
Right.
But people who do smoke, vaping is a useful tool. But obviously the goal is then to move from vaping to not smoking.
You could have a job at the I'm going to stop smoking service.
No,
this is exactly what we say.
You know, the only reason I'm saying this point of view is I was called in to do a writing thing for this campaign to stop young people from smoking, because they were like, this 41-year-old, they'll know how to do it. And but the campaign was to come up with cringe ideas, because smoking, to make it feel like vaping is cringy.
Right.
And so what they were like, let's get some old people to come up with cringe ideas.
They probably should just employ you to walk around young people and start vaping, and then they're like, "What's this old guy vaping?" This is all cool.
But they all the like young people are vaping.
Yeah, and so I think the goal that has obviously been noticed. Like they're already vaping, and so they're like let's try and stop people from starting. And because they just basically the campaign was like, we're not targeting the people who are smokers to never vape because vaping is a useful tool for them.
Right.
So that's the only reason that has come up for me. Because I helped
You're
write
quite knowledgeable in this area.
I helped write cringe ideas
I love it.
to make vaping seem cringy.
Like, yeah.
Can you give us one of those cringe ideas? Like, do you have an example?
It was me, a 41-year-old, using young people words.
Right.
Like
what
Like
a
Riz?
Riz, and there were a couple of others that I was like, what is this? Chugi, I think was one.
Oh, really?
It was me just saying those words, and then young people being like, "Oh, that's so gross," and they'd be like, "Want to have a vape?" I mean, it wasn't his thing about that, but that was one of the ideas.
I love
and
it.
in fact, and we filmed a little example of it because we were just writing the ideas. So we filmed a little example of it, and I hated doing it.
I love that there's someone sitting around going, okay, we need someone who could come up with some really cringe ideas. Oh, what about Jamaine Ross? I think he's available.
It was also funny, like they were trying to be funny, but at the same time, it was like, yeah, what's cringe and kind of funny.
Hey, thank you so much for chatting with us today.
No, even though I have never really paid attention to smoking and whether people don't smoke or whatever, the reality is it's something that disproportionately affects Māori and Pacifica people. And so it is something that I think about, and it's important to me to not promote in the slightest.
Yeah, cool.
You know? Smoking weed, though, I'm like, yo, let's do it. No. But yeah, like those, there's a lot of things that cause more harm to people of my background, and I'm like, I don't want to add to that harm.
Yeah, that's cool.
And so I'm like, yeah, I'll definitely have a chat.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me.
No worries.
Cool, man. All right, thank you, and we'll see you again sometime backstage at the Classic.
Yeah, and I'll once again tell you how much you inspired me, and I'll tell another story that didn't involve you at all.
All right, see you, man.
All right, see ya.
Bye.
We hope you enjoyed that episode of Comedians Quitting. Please don't forget to fill out the survey in the link below for your chance to win a pair of Bose AirPods. Every episode listened to and every survey filled out is another chance to win.